Hello and welcome to Coach's Corner. My name is Dean Meagher. Today I'm going to talk to you about using the bounce when you're in the bunker. The bounce being this nice curved area of the wedge. If you use the curved area, the club will slide through the sand nice and fast. It'll go through at a good depth through the sand. It won't get too deep, and you'll find the ball will pop out a little more easily than what you may have experienced so far. So if you're one that finds bunker play difficult, listen up. So when you've got the leading edge here, but you also have this sort of rounded area which actually sits below the leading edge on the club. This rounded area is the area we need to use to push into the sand to slide the club. If we don't push that and we push the leading edge, that is what I think a lot of people do within the sand, is that the club will dig heavily into the sand if they happen to hit the sand. If you've experienced that where you're like hitting a shot and the club tends to stop when it gets into the sand and it feels like it digs really heavily, and you might hit those shots that only go like a couple of meters ahead of you, essentially you're probably not using the bounce of the club, you're probably using the leading edge. And what that makes the person do when they start hitting a lot of heavy shots that don't come out, they think, oh, I got to get close to the ball, and then they whack the ball and it goes miles over the green. So understanding how to use that curved, smooth bit of the wedge is very important. So let me give you 3 areas that I do to make sure this happens. The first one is to set yourself in a position where your hands are on the club, but the club is very, very neutral. It's not leant forward. If anything, it's not a bad thing if the hands are a little bit behind, but I generally like to be just straight up and down. So essentially the butt of the club is pointing at your belly button. Once I'm in this position, I've got a much better chance. I'm gripping the club and I'm feeling like this is comfortable in this position. The next thing I do is I open the club face just a little bit. Now it doesn't have to be a lot. It kind of depends on your swing speed. If you're a fast swinger and you hit the ball a long way, you can probably open the club a little bit more than others and promote a lot more bounce, which is an advantage. If you don't swing quite as fast, only open up just marginally. And again, this is just going to help that smooth bit of the club when it gets into the sand to slide the club. That's why I call it the bounce, because it actually feels like the club bounces off the sand when it goes in there. It doesn't dig. So don't be a digger, be a bouncer. Finally, when I actually go to swing the club, I want to feel like the club head is going past my hands. So essentially I'm getting into this position here where I've got an L shape. If I can do that, it means again that the bounce of the club, this bottom bit, is going to get into the sand and then start to slide fast out of the sand. Very, very important. The faster the club goes through the sand, the more chance that the ball has of coming out. We don't want to slow down and dig using the front edge. We want to release the club or feel like it's going past our hands and then continue on to a full finish. So a good test of this is you don't necessarily need to come down into a bunker and hit a lot of balls. You can actually come in and just hit the sand and start to get a sense of how to bounce the club in the sand. So I'll set up, club face a little bit open, hands neutral, and get the sense of releasing the club. So as I hit into the sand, I'm wanting that club to go past my hands. And hopefully you step forward into a new piece of sand, slam the club down, so you're trying to hit down as fast as you can, hit into the sand, and if you bounce correctly, the club should come straight out of the sand. And it should be relatively easy to get to a full finish. If you don't do this correctly, you'll feel a lot of that, the club stopping, your hand stopping. So come down into this practice bunker. It's a very nice practice bunker. Bounce the club in the sand, do that about 10 times, and then go ahead and play a shot. And see if that helps you to hit a really nice bunker shot and get out of the sand more often. So practice using the bounce. If you need any help, come for a lesson. Happy to help. Want to help people to get more confidence in their bunker play, to help them to shoot lower scores.